Meteorologist Matthew East here in the Weather on the Ones Forecast Center. This is your Friday, November 6th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. And again, today I want to spend some time here at the beginning of the video talking about Ida. Now, of course, Ida became a hurricane briefly yesterday before it moved into Central America. As I'm cutting the video this morning, still over land there in Central America. It's weakened all the way down to tropical depression status. Let me show you the broad satellite shot from this morning. And a couple things. First of all, this is Ida right there in Central America. We'll talk more about Ida in just a moment. Up in the southern Gulf of Mexico, though, you have this big area of thunderstorms, and I doubt any of this winds up in the Gulf being classified as a tropical system, but it's going to move toward the Texas and Louisiana coasts over the weekend, and will certainly produce some squally weather there. But there's our classified system, Ida, the center of circulation right to the south of where all that deep convection is. So certainly the system's undergone some significant weakening, as you'd expect, as it moves across land. But still has a nice overall structure. The outflow still looks pretty good. So there is certainly an opportunity for re-strengthening when this gets back over water. Now, this is the Hurricane Center's forecast. They do bring Ida back up to tropical storm intensity as it moves across the western Caribbean. And then they eventually bend the track off to the northeast in the general direction of Florida by the mid part of next week. There's the spread in the computer model guidance, and really that's not too bad of a spread considering what we're talking about here. Most of the modeling takes us through the western Caribbean Sea, close to the tip of the Yucatan, and then into the Gulf. That's where it gets a little more divergent, as you'd expect, toward the end of the model run. So let me sort of show you some of the various model solutions with this. This is the no-gaps model, and it is a west outlier. It eventually bends Ida back off to the west in the general direction of North Mexico or South Texas next week. The Canadian takes this to the Louisiana coast next week. And let's see, the GFS takes Ida into the Gulf and then bends it back southeast towards South Florida. And finally, the GFDL, which yesterday was really going nuts with intensifying this, not as aggressive. It looks more reasonable today, as it brings Ida up to hurricane intensity, and that is certainly possible. And what happens is, you see at this point, Ida in the northern Gulf of Mexico, it then bends it to the northeast in the general direction of the Big Bend region of Florida. So that's the eventual landfall spot on this current run of the GFDL. So overall, I think what we're going to see happen is Ida will probably re-strengthen. The water in the western Caribbean Sea is very, very warm. And it's still really at summertime water temperature levels. And so it looks like a good chance Ida will be able to become a tropical storm again. And I certainly think it's possible, as long as that core remains somewhat intact as it traverses Central America. I think it's possible Ida could become a hurricane again. And we'll see. Anywhere along the Gulf Coast is fair game at this point, although I would lean to an eventual track somewhere from Louisiana eastward through Florida. But we'll see. Anywhere along the Gulf Coast needs to closely monitor Ida, and it looks like still we can see some of that moisture get pulled up our way. Now, things very quiet over much of the eastern part of the country this morning. Notice all of the action, though, in the Pacific Northwest. That is the beginnings of our next storm system. That's the upper air chart for today. Eventually, this is going to move eastward. That energy will carve out a nice trough or a nice upper air low in the eastern U.S., and that'll help to bring our next rain chance in. But no rain today or the weekend. Looks great today. Sunshine all day long. Highs in the lower side of the 60s today. And then a cold one tonight. Probably the coldest night of this cold snap coming up tonight. As I think a good number of spots could wind up seeing a light freeze tonight. Lows close to freezing in many Piedmont locations. Beautiful weekend weather. Tomorrow for Saturday looks great. Sunshine high in the mid-60s. As we go into Sunday, sunny, and how about some low to mid-70s with sunshine? Beautiful weather coming up over the weekend. Now Monday, clouds begin to increase, and here on the GFS, this slug of moisture in Louisiana and Mississippi, that is with that southern Gulf of Mexico moisture I showed you. This, down to the very bottom of your screen, that's Ida. All right, here we go now to Tuesday. That moisture getting picked up by that trough swinging in. So it looks like later Tuesday into early Wednesday, our next chance of rain. The GFS really sweeps things out by Wednesday. We'll see. I'm not really changing anything with my forecast here. I'm going late Tuesday into Wednesday, the chance of rain. How much rain depends on how much of that tropical moisture can get lifted up in our direction. Thursday, we look to be dry again with a lot of sunshine. And still, the GFS showing signs of a nice push of some colder air. Around the 18th to the 20th or so of November. We'll see how that plays out. Still showing up on the modeling to some extent. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thanks very much for watching. A great weather weekend ahead. Get out and enjoy it. Have a great weekend, and God bless.